Smart 24, driving business.
A very good evening. Once again, you're most welcome to Smart 24 Television. This is the business edition. We are going to have a look at the stories that made the headlines in our weekly bulletin. But among the stories we're going to look at is the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among, says that she is going to buy 500 iron sheets and return them back to the office of the Prime Minister. And again, they'll go back to Karamoja. And very many stories will be coming up on your way, including the Parliament Committee on Health rejecting the 2.7 billion supplementary budget that was meant to go to the Ministry of Health. And all more the stories will be coming up on your way. Stay around. I am Pedison Mumbere. I'll be right back. A warm welcome once again. The business edition starts now. The Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among, has promised to buy 500 iron sheets and return them back to the office of the Prime Minister after the pressure has been mounted to them over what they called mismanagement of the iron sheets. Let's have a look at this very story.
In her communication to legislators, Speaker Among has confirmed that she decided to buy 500 iron sheets that were taken to her district. According to the Speaker, she was not aware that the items sent to her were meant for the vulnerable in Karamoja, and thus she decided to buy the allotted 500 sheets and send them back to the office of the Prime Minister. This comes after criminal investigations were laid by the DPP and Uganda Police on the President's directive.
When you receive something from the office of the Prime Minister, you may think maybe it is from disaster. And you may not know whether it is coming from Karamoja, from Northern, from Tesa, and whichever. And when we receive some of these things, we get it, we think it is in good faith. And our constituencies need them, but because of that we think, okay, have what belongs to you.
The Speaker's Act has been welcomed by the majority of the legislators, who advised other implicated colleagues to follow suit.
The rest that are adversely mentioned in the saga of iron sheets meant for the vulnerable communities of Karamoja should follow suit. They should equally show remorse, and not only being remorseful, but pick a leaf from you and even go an extra mile to double. Madam Speaker, I'm rival.
Madam Speaker, yesterday the leader of government business was missing here. Even today, she's missing.
I have seen.
And not representative, I mean her in fresh. So I wanted to find out if she has already been arrested, because she took 3,000 iron sheets. She is writing a statement at police, because even today
He's on procedure.
Even today, the main stories in the newspapers is that ministers are going to begin recording statements. I can see Musasi's.
Thank you, Madam Right Honourable Speaker, for that magnanimity. Thank you for that simplicity. Thank you for coming out to show leadership. I will pray that all those who received maybe those iron sheets, unintentionally, honestly, it can happen to any one of you, and even me. And you come out to say yes.
As this happens, the 2 weeks that were given to the Committee of Presidential Affairs to investigate this matter have already elapsed.
That's the Speaker of Parliament saying that he's going to buy 500 iron sheets and return them back to the office of the Prime Minister. Now, one would ask him or herself whether this constitutes acknowledgement of guilty. you and me. But everybody who took these iron sheets, it could be better if they do it the way the Speaker has done it. Now getting to another story here, the members of Parliament on the Health Committee rejected a supplementary budget of 2.7 billion that was meant to supervise the construction works of War International Hospital and 50 billion for its completion. This was rejected from the Parliament. Let's have a look at this very story that was compiled over there.
Last week, the Ministry of Health presented to the committee a supplementary budget of 31.9 billion shillings to cater for 5 items whose priorities included wages and inspection of specialized Luwa Hospital, among others. The denounced budget, however, had to be reset and have Mulago Hospital as a clear priority. Today, the State Minister for Health, Honorable Hanifa Kawoya, presented a 50 billion shillings quotation for the completion of the country's referral hospital.
Honorable Chair, it is therefore my prayer as the leader of this sector that government considers supplementary. The reason we are here to put our case before you, Chair, and members of this committee, that we are in a requirement of 15,480,950,244,000 only to enable this ministry pay for completion of works and the consultancy, and we see that the project goes on.
Members of the committee were, however, displeased with the request, terming it unacceptable as its presentation looked unofficial and non-committal.
When you look at the presentation that has been made by the minister, it's totally unacceptable. There is no letterhead on this document, and this is a request for 15 billion shillings as a supplementary. It is not on a letterhead. Request for a supplementary. It is Mulago, which is the one being supervised, is decent enough to ensure it's on a letterhead.
According to the legislators, the country's national referral hospital is in dire state despite chunks of money appropriated for works, offering no progress in almost 10 years.
Million Ugandans. But there's that person in Amur who comes all the way for an MRI scan. He has gone to Gulu. Gulu refers him to Kampala, and he comes. He doesn't know these things of a consultant. He doesn't know these things of variations and so forth. What the 40 finished product. But right now what we are seeing in Mulago is people come in and you're referred outside to get an MRI scan, a CT scan, and then you come back in. That is absolute madness in terms of planning. And you understand. Now for us, the health committee, the government takes a beating. A loan was procured, and that's what the voter knows, because this is taxpayers' money. They don't know all these things that rock or run into a brick wall and so forth. We want a finished product.
Our hospital is the face of Uganda's healthcare system, and it has been disfigured since 2014, undergoing reconstruction surgery with no timelines when it will get out of the theater. When I listen to all the presentations that have been made, what is very clear here is that the Ministry of Health is suffering from an outbreak of poor planning and a pandemic of weak supervision.
On the other hand, the chairperson of Roko Construction Limited told the committee that it is true they were challenged in the past, especially during the COVID-19, but they have now resumed works and await government's consultancy.
They've been having the challenges since 2020. So I think, Mr. Chairman, we shouldn't forget that in terms of the past, I think we elaborated in Parliament and with different ministries about what the challenges were. They were also presented to Parliament.
Yeah, so that's how it ended over there. Finally, these people did not take this money. The committee chair, that's Charles Ayume, was like, no, this is not the time we should release this money. Otherwise, Mulago Hospital is lacking some other very many necessities. just releasing 2.7 billion for supervision of War International Hospital, that whether we're not even sure whether it's going to be completed, when it is going to be completed, we can't release that money. And he used some words that are not kind over there. Now, getting to the construction of $200 million Kampala flyover project that is nearly completion to 80%. I saw the PR of UNRWA saying that once this project is complete, it's going to ease jam and the movement within town is going to be easy. Let's have a look at this very story.
The construction of the flyover will minimize traffic congestion on Entebbe Road, which is the second highest traffic jam in the country. Movement in the city has been hampered by heavy traffic, which has affected city dwellers and workers to reach their destinations in time. It would require 2 hours for one to negotiate a 30-kilometer journey to the city center, especially in the morning hours. Once the entire $200 million project is accomplished, the flyover is expected to connect outwards to the proposed Kampala, Jinja and Kampala-Mpigi expressways.
Just like you as an individual, when you have a pressing, urgent need, what do you resort to? You resort to a bit of borrowing, but you actually pay back. So we resort to our financing partners like JICA, the World Bank, ADB, Islamic Development Bank, and several others for financing to be able to meet our current and pressing needs. But ultimately, this is actually money we have to pay back, but it has actually supported us meet our current need. And you're much better than before, because now you have a road, which is a high capacity road, which is actually going to improve flow of traffic, improve on business rankings of the country, meaning actually the incomes will also rise of the Ugandans and their businesses, and you'll then be able to pay back. So that is the feasibility done around our projects, that when you introduce a road in an area, that area should grow. There should be growth in business, there should be growth in traffic, and ultimately growth in incomes.
According to Mr. Alan Sempebwa, Uganda National Roads Authority Media Relations Manager, the second phase is likely to cost 659 billion Ugandan shillings.
At the moment, we are at over 80% progress in physical works. We know that before the end of this year, that project should be ready for Kampala to now use, or people in Kampala to use, and elsewhere. The road costs about 300 billion, that is Ugandan shillings, and we are supported by our Japanese friends, that is the Japanese International Cooperation Agency, JICA, and we have a very competent contractor, a Japanese as well, employing several other local contractors on site, if you've actually been there. And Ugandans have been employed on this project. So the project has come with numerous benefits, cost employment. It's going to change the skyline of Kampala, as you may actually have seen it. It's going to be a very fast flyover project that we have in the country of that nature and design. But it's also going to improve our trade competitiveness as a country. So we're looking at the project as an incentive, as an attraction to investors to come and actually invest in our country. Tourists to actually come in, knowing that they will move on time, and just as investors alike.
The project will minimize the time spent while traveling and also decongest the city center. Senior Principal Public Relations Officer, Ministry of Lands and Urban Development, Dennis Obo, advised all other cities to have all the local land registered so that they are able to generate local revenue from the land sales. He also revealed that other cities shall undergo the same deployments to ensure that cities have the same standard of the road infrastructure.
The developments that are taking place in Kampala City are developments that government plans to implement in all other new cities. A city cannot be a city if it is not smart. So there are some things that have to be done, whether it is in Kampala or others. One, for purposes of congestion and avoiding jam, it is important that you also have to build flyovers and bypass this. But that is not the only thing that makes it. The other thing is we would like to see the street lighting in them so that we can automatically have the night economy working. The tarmac roads are important because a city with dust is not a good one. The issue of titling in cities is important because through titling and registration of that, then cities are able to generate or get local revenue from the land transactions. All these are activities or tasks that are done to ensure that you have sustainable and smart cities.
UNRA's Media Relations Manager, Mr. Alan Sempebwa, revealed that a Grand Master Plan to develop all roads in other towns and cities is in the offing.
At the moment, we are working on an expressway development master plan that will cater for all other cities and towns within Uganda. We're working on implementation of the Kampala-Jinja Expressway. We are also working on the designs for Kampala-Bombo Expressway, Kampala-Busunju Expressway, and several others will come in that sequence. And ultimately, the entire country will be covered. So there is a development of the of the National Expressway Development Master Plan being mooted at the moment.
It should also be noted that all these infrastructure developments have been funded by the Japanese government loan, whose funds have to be refunded. The Uganda National Roads Authority is able to collect 1 billion shillings per month on road tolls to service the loan.
Okay, that's all about the Kampala flyover project that is nearly completion, up to 80%. But of course, according to the PRO, this project came along with other benefits like employment opportunities, and it's going to beautify the skyline of Kampala city. Now let's get to another story. The Ministry of Energy and the other sector players are appealing for intensive investment in the local hydropower projects to widen access to energy, not only in Kampala, but even in other Uganda villages. Our reporter was on top of this very story in the villages, and let's have a look at what she compiled for us.
The Energy Ministry has amplified the development of small hydropower projects in attempt to scale up energy access, more so in rural areas. Currently, there are over 50 small hydropower plants in Uganda with a combined capacity of 45 megawatts to amplify Uganda's business operations and rural electrification. According to Dan Moran, the chairman UNREA, most of these small hydropower plants are found on the eastern or the western border of the country and have a lot of potential but lack developers.
So there is a lot of potential, and so far as we speak, there are about over 50 potential small hydropower sites that have been identified that are just waiting for licensing from government so that investors and developers can be able to go and put money and do feasibility studies and carry out environmental social impact assessment to see if they can be able to develop so that we can increase on the hydropower generation in this country.
Rural electrification that has seen government acquire loans to provide electricity to marginalized communities that were previously off-grid is to be relieved as enterprises and households can eventually benefit from a wider national grid.
The source, the electricity source that is very needed for the system because it is more flexible.
Development of the Nan-Nile project hasn't been easily achieved relatively due to investment, enterprise and taxes believed to be challenging despite government currently coming up with funding projects to promote skilled labor.
Most of the investors have been coming from the outside countries, especially from Asia. You've heard of China, you've heard of Sri Lanka, you've heard of Indonesia and many other countries in the eastern, in the Far East or in the Asian countries. So we were thinking that if you can be able to develop our own capacity in this country, especially one, if you can have investors that are local, because most of the developments that are going on, we are having Ugandans that are partnering with outsiders. But we want to have hydropower sites that are fully developed by Ugandans purely, 100%.
Well, there's the energy policy, which is there, which has specific objectives. There's a National Development Plan, NDP3, which has a specific sustainable energy development program, because everything is now programmatic. So within that, there are specific targets which are to meet, like I said, the access targets. So that we literally have to have at least a set number of renewable energy projects to increase access. So that's already ingrained in the NDP3, in Vision 2040, which is 80% access by 2040. Then there's the energy policy. So we have a number of policies in place that are enabling. So it's just a matter of meeting those targets.
Meanwhile, government has implemented policies to facilitate the growth of mini hydro projects and attain a bigger national and regional energy grid and contribute to the country's economic growth.
Yeah, that's all access to energy. And according to the information I'm getting here, they're saying there are over 50 small hydro plants have been put in those different villages there. That's all about accessing energy or energy sector there over in that very same sector. Now, getting to another story here, I am looking at the Batwa group. These are the people, these are semi-nomadic and huntsmen Pigini tribe that used to live in the forests of Mugahenga and Bwinti in those parts of Chisoro district and some other parts in Bundibujo there. Now, according to the information that we are getting, it's saying that all these people have resorted to leasing out their land that was given them for quick money. Remember, those people were told to come down the land in line with environmental conservation. But if this land was given to them, or when that land was given to them, they have started leasing it for the quick money because of poverty. Let's have a look at this very story.
When the Batwa community was evicted from forested lands in pursuit of environmental conservation, NGOs such as the United Nations for Batwa Development in Uganda and other partners, African International Christian Ministry, purchased parcels of land to aid their resettlement. As of today, such land has been leased for fast money at the expense of key activities such as agriculture. 120 households have been noted pushing for the little as 20,000 a season.
They decided not because of greediness, I can say so. They want money there and then, so they will not stop that kind of habit because they want money day and night.
Constantine Mwewa from Mukongo village in Nyundo's sub-county has appealed to the local council authorities to enact laws that prohibit the settler community from selling off land.
It happens because when they see a Mutwa trying to productively use his land, they coordinate with LC1s and dupe them into hiring it out, and we end up remaining poor.
Chisolo District Community Liaison Officer Mr. Boaz Renite says that the vice of leasing out land instead of utilizing it for self-development has kept the community poor. As a result, many have upgraded into theft and casual labor.
So I'm advising the Batwa group that if they have a small land, they should cultivate the land and harvest food which will feed their people. I'm advising them that they should stop that business of giving out the land.
Peina Zanika from the United Organization for Batwa Development Coordinator in Uganda attributes the shift to capital incapacity and agricultural funding. Meanwhile, government has moved to sensitize locals on agriculture.
Our encouragement as a community, as an organization that works with them, we encourage them not to really focus on hiring because their children also needs to eat. And by the time we created awareness to everyone who is a well-wisher to purchase the land, it was because of their landlessness.
Mr. Kamadi Bionebye from Ugandan Human Rights Commission was recently engaged in the mindset and rights training program in the area.
Batwa, like any other community, have the right to own land, either individually or in association with others. So we've talked to them about their right to own land. We've taken them through the existing land tenure systems and the grievance handling mechanisms in case they have issues to do with the land ownership.
Yeah, that's the Batwa people, the Pygmy tribe. Sometimes I used to think that they come from Kasese, not until I got full information that those guys come from Bondibuj and Kisoro district over there, and cultures are not even the same. Now we'll be going in for a short commercial break. When I come back, more of the stories will be coming up. This is the Business Edition.
Smart 24, driving business.
It's super fast internet. Oh, it's a super camera. It's a super battery.
Phone battery full.
Yeah, it's a super deal. Get the Capote Super from MTN now at a reduced initial deposit of only 49,000 shillings and pay the balance in Pola for as low as 833 shillings per day. Grab this Super Capote deal and get 2 GB of free MTN data every month for 8 months. Get the Capote Super now from any MTN shop countrywide. Everywhere you go, MTN. Regulated by UCC.
Say goodbye to paperwork and travel costs. Now every MTN customer can register to invest in securities anytime and anywhere with Zabu in a few simple steps. Step 1. Dial *292#. Step 2. Select option 1. Register with Zabu. Step 3. Enter your full names. Step 4. Enter your national identification number. Step 5. Enter your national identification card number. In 24 hours, you will receive an SMS confirming your registration. Congratulations, you are now ready to invest.
He must be rich, tall, handsome, from a respectable family. He must have a maid because at our home we do not work.
Conductor Masao.
Why? Obadde olobye ku ssimu?
Yamunange, anti yo TV enkolera.
Enjoy a new world of entertainment with over 80 TV and radio channels, plus movies from wherever you are. Download the GOTV Channels app from your app store and enjoy 30 days of free streaming with MTN.
GOTV Channels.
Smart 24, driving business.
Welcome back from that commercial break. The business edition is still continuing. Now we are going to discuss what it is called the risk management in business. I caught up with some financial experts who said that anytime something can happen and you leave out your investment, the best way of risk management is going in for insurance. Let's have a look at this very story.
Much as Ugandans are struggling to save, financial experts believe that they should adopt to risk management strategies to avoid development setbacks. The head of marketing at UAP Insurance, Stephen Luvoa, urges that insurance covers a variety of additional risks like illness, accident. Therefore, people can have peace of mind while knowing that their businesses and future are all secured.
We can support in terms of assessing the risk. First of all, identifying the risk, assessing the risk, and also mitigating the risk. So that you can be able to make a decision how to mitigate it, how to transfer it, or how you can be able to absorb that risk. So it is important at an individual level to have an insurance policy to take care of unexpected eventualities like death.
Financial risk management helps to identify potential risks and enables one to implement strategies to mitigate those risks while limiting the exposure to financial losses.
Look, there is this uncertainty that may come, but in the event that it does come, your financial status or welfare should not be cut. And that is what the kind of information we are giving to the public is all about. Telling people it is very, very important to think about uncertainties in the event that something happens. So yes, it's good to invest, it's good to think long term. However, get that insurance cover that will help maintain your standard of living in the event that something happened to you.
In today's uncertain world, insurance has become a crucial tool for managing risks and protecting oneself from potential financial losses. Zach Chisesi, the head of Alternative Channels, therefore says that it's very important to invest where there is a regulator.
That in the beginning, as you think about where you want to invest your money, invest one where there's a regulator. Because the beauty with the regulator is that they will protect you against Ponzi schemes, get-rich-quick schemes. The regulator, for example, in my case, it's Capital Markets Authority and UBRA, Uganda Retirement-Based Regulatory Authority.
It is very clear that financial inclusion cannot be achieved if the risk element has not been taken care of. Because at the end of the day, we realize that we as individuals, we tend to think that when we save without looking at the risk, and it becomes very hard because whatever we have saved can easily be wiped away by just a mere occurrence of a risk. For example, passing on of a breadwinner.
By creating a budget, saving for emergencies and having insurance as a form of risk management, individuals can protect themselves against unexpected financial losses. That's why financial experts have engaged media personalities to amplify insurance awareness.
That's what they call risk management in business. By the way, the best way you can manage these risks is just go in for insurance, because you never know what may happen tomorrow. You never know what may happen to your business. So if your business got a fire, what exactly are you going to do if you're not insured? So these are the things that we've been talking about in as far as risk management is concerned. Now we're going to speak diversifying aquaculture sector, whereby farmers dealing in fish farming are lacking access to capital, and actually there is need for these financial institutions to explain how and when these guys can access capital to enhance their sector. Let's have a look at this very story.
According to the Uganda Fish Processors and Exporters Association, the aquaculture industry generates an estimated $200 in annual revenue, providing employment opportunities to about 58.5 million individuals. Meanwhile, the sector is still challenged in meeting necessary market demands and standards.
Farming is growing at a rate of 6.7% per year, and it is generally increased because of the limited natural resources that are producing fish. If we look at the lakes, for example, we are informed that the fish in the lake Victoria is dwindling. That's why you see a lot of controls. So this has encouraged the growth of fish farming as another and an alternative source of fish. And that's why aquaculture or fish farming is growing very fast.
From the Industry Expo at the Aquaculture Research Development Center, sector players have been encouraged to integrate other practices to achieve an efficient and sustainable farming system capable of supporting value chain growth.
Constraints that farmers put across is lack of capital to do fish farming. Fish farming is fairly capital intensive, especially when you are producing and targeting the market. So the issue of capital is very critical, but we know, and as you'll see during the expo, there will be, I'm sure, some banks which will be here to explain to farmers how they can access capital. But the critical point, the critical issue, why most fish farmers and maybe even fishers have not been accessing capital is lack of records of what they are doing.
Placed by funding shortage, reliance on the international market and importation of utilities such as feeds, stakeholders have been urged to work together and develop policies and initiatives aimed at promoting sustainable aquaculture production and improving the overall competitiveness of the industry.
Carrying out aquaculture is basically more to do with dissemination of knowledge to the fish farmers Many fish farmers are ready to invest in the activity, but then they have a challenge of having knowledge on how to conduct aquaculture as a business. They also have a challenge of getting the right inputs, such as good quality fish fingerlings, good quality fish feeds, and of course extension services. So it is a good opportunity that NARO has organized this with Slick Stars, so that all players of aquaculture value chain come on board to brainstorm on the best way of promoting aquaculture as a business.
Addressing major challenges such as technical incapacity, investment in domestic feed production, and a less developed value chain is predicted to help revamp the sector and meet full production potential.
Okay, so these are the farmers dealing in fish farming. They're saying they can't access capital and there's a need for financial institutions to explain to them how and when they can access this money to enhance their sector just like that, and that they can start making a lot of money. Now getting to another story, the Minister of Energy and Mineral Development and the government of Korea has signed a memorandum of understanding to construct a 9 billion nuclear power plant in Guyana district, and this is going to help in generating power or electricity in Uganda. This program is going to be complete, according to information, up to 2031. Let's have a look at this very story.
The long-awaited nuclear power plant to be constructed in Wiyende district now seems likely after a memorandum of understanding between the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development plus the South Korea Hydro and Nuclear Power Company, a subsidiary of KEPCO, was signed.
An exchange between Uganda and the Korea Hydro and Nuclear Power Company.
According to data from the Ministry of Energy, the $9 billion project will generate 2,000 megawatts, an improvement from 1,200 megawatts produced from the current installations. Speaking at the African Nuclear Business Platform in Kampala, the President of Uganda, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, asserted how nuclear power will provide reliable and sustainable power supply to boost socio-economic development at a time when countries are dealing with energy poverty.
It is held at a critical time when nations are dealing with how to ensure their energy security for socio-economic development.
Charles Gunter from GNA Advisory and a legal counsel on international nuclear matters believes that the move to integrate nuclear into the country's energy mix is a robust move Uganda should embark on to diversify electricity generation.
Of course, Uganda is on the right course for developing nuclear power. The country is highly engaged with experts from the IAEA, following the milestones approach, also seeking expertise from INVAP and other outside experts. So Uganda is utterly on the right course. Of course, Uganda has hydropower, Uganda uses biomass, you have wind availability. The unique aspects of nuclear is that you can provide power at any time of the day, and you can supplement those other resources with this continual power.
The State Minister for Energy and Mineral Development, Centros Opolot Okasai, says that at least 20 Ugandans graduated in the nuclear energy sector from countries such as the UK, South Korea, Russia and China. He further notes that the government is to set up a center for nuclear excellence at Soroti University to train more Ugandans in the nuclear sector.
Young graduates were sent out for training. 20 of them were sent out to various countries which are already advanced in nuclear science, and this included the United Kingdom.
Nuclear Business Platform is an organization which is deeply committed to having or to see the African continent prosper via having nuclear energy as part of its energy mix. We sincerely believe that nuclear energy, being one of the most cleanest form of energy, is very much needed and will aid African countries in their quest to reach first-level nation status and also to drive industrialization.
Uganda is experiencing an ever-increasing population, economic growth, and raising social needs that require the sustainable development of energy resources. According to the Ministry of Energy, the power from the nuclear power project is anticipated to be added to the national grid by 2031.
According to information, this nuclear power plant that is going to be constructed in Uyende district is going to construct over 2,000 megawatts, and this is a good way to go. Now I'll be going in for another commercial break, and when I come back, more stories are still here. Stay around.
Smart 24, driving business.
MTN Momo's giving you a reason to enjoy the back-to-school season. Skip the long lines, annoying traffic, and running around with bank slips. Pay school fees and more using your mobile phone. Simply dial *165*80# and follow the prompts. Or use the Momo app. So what are you doing today? MTN Mobile Money Uganda Limited is regulated by the Bank of Uganda.
Sulabira wa gano kima kagakatemba amajja omukwano obulimba obujja byonna bisanga wano kati nyweza remote abewuwo bakuŋŋaanye olunyumi lw'ekatemba ku Pearl Magic Loco.
This is our home. Bonna mu Luganda Pearl Magic Loco eri ku mukutu namba 42 ku DSTV ate ku mukutu 315 ku GOTV. Pearl Magic Loco tuli ku ground.
Luxury redefined at Seasan Hotel as you indulge in the splendor of elegant living fit for the royalty that you are. Step into comfort, pampering and blissful customer-centric service as you select from our range of comfy exquisite living quarters furnished to meet with your royal preference. Surrounded by scenic beauty, our tropical setting allows you to escape the glamorous ordeal of city life. Our ambient green gardens will guide you to a place of revitalizing rest. The 3-star restaurant caters to your palate, serving your choice menu ranging from exotic cuisines to local delicacies. Our chefs will serve you full-course meals for a truly out-of-this-world culinary experience. Our fully stocked bar to whet your throat, from renowned global brand whisks, brandies, gins, beers and wines to our locally celebrated beverages, you will not lack for any brewage. It's an all-new experience in the East at Seasan Hotel. So visit today at plot 15 to 19 Spire Road, Ginger, or contact us on +256 751 719 960 and +256 785 354 614 for reservations. Seasan Hotels, luxury redefined.
Smart 24, driving business.
Welcome back from that commercial break. Once again, like I said, the president of Uganda earlier on had to address the members of parliament at Kololo A Strip. But now, members of parliament were hoping for a rebuke to a recent corruption scandals, which Museveni did not even talk about. Instead, he had to talk about the fraudulent parish development model scandals. And most of the members of parliament left the place while quarreling as to why he did not even comment on the current corruption that is going on over here. Let's have a look at this very story.
By law, the President is entitled to address Parliament and the nation on issues of national importance, and in today's sitting, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has rather surprised members of Parliament when he deliberately avoided trendy corruption-painted issues such as the Karamoja relief embezzlement that legislators heavily anticipated. In his rather short speech, President Museveni focused on the 1 trillion shillings parish development model, which he strongly emphasized.
First of all, how to make money, good money on a small area in a product or products that have got a national, regional, and sometimes international demand. So don't mix it up with the buru chop, with the tutuezike, with what? In Ankole they have got what they call mwezike. You bury yourselves.
According to the president, he started on a visit campaign to all regions, checking on the progress of the PDM. Currently, he is disappointed with precedents in Acholi sub-region, which has exhibited corruption tendencies.
We shall come and find out. That's why when I went to Acholi first day, I visited some of these farms. And then I had a meeting with the leaders. And from the leaders, I was able to get a lot of information. And then the following day, I was on a public meeting. So how will you steal? Because we are going to find out. You're wasting your time and ruining your future.
Members of Parliament have been reckoned to sensitize electorate about the transformation parish development model before uptake. However, majority expressed disappointment with the president's speech, which came short of issues such as the Karamoja relief scandal, where different legislators were implicated.
Pronounced himself on the matter of iron sheets that belong to the Karamoja people. Therefore, I am not fully satisfied. The ministers are here. They are not mentioned.
The member of parliament representing the views of the people, we are somehow disappointed. This is not what we expected. The president cannot be addressing parliament when all the cabinet ministers are seated here in front with the scandals of iron sheets, and he does not make a comment. That was my disappointment.
I wanted him to deal with the issues of corruption in details, because those are issues now trending.
Talking to ministers, including Government Chief Whip, a rather unsurprising response was offered, as they don't expect the president to talk about a matter that is already under investigation at his order and now before the State House Anti-Corruption Unit.
It's a national program which is supposed to bring on board the 39% of Ugandans who are still living in poverty into the money economy. The PDM is supposed to bring about socio-economic transformation.
So iron sheets has become iron sheets. But one, it was brought to the fore by the government state agencies, particularly the State House Anti-Corruption Unit working with intelligence services are the ones who found out that the iron sheets from the office of the Prime Minister were being sold in eastern Uganda.
That's all what happened there at Kololo A Strip, where Museveni had to meet the legislators as a member of parliament. Most of them were expecting him to rebuke this, what they have been calling corruption scandals of the iron sheets over there, which he didn't. Instead, he talked about fraudulent parish development model issues. Now we're going to speak illicit trade here in Uganda, and the spokesperson of Kasita, that's Musa Sekito, making a lot of statements there, saying that there are a lot of high taxes here in Uganda compared to other countries like Kenya and Uganda. I also saw the ED of PSFU, Sims TV, making some highlights over there. But what made the biggest headline is about the Joseph Enyumu, the commissioner from the Ministry of Finance, revealing that the ministry is committed to fighting illicit trade in the country. Let's have a look at this.
Data from the United Nations Conference on Trade and Investment indicates a $2 trillion loss as of 2020. This responds to global smuggling, counterfeit, among other acts. In Uganda, manufacturers are among the severely affected groups by illicit trade, noted in brand erosion, loss in sales, unfair competition, and ultimate closure of businesses. As of that background, great commitment has been suggested by players in beverages and other manufacturing entities.
Can you believe at this time in the moment, there are products that are 3 times as expensive in Uganda than in Kenya? Second items, you pay 120 million is in Uganda, you pay 50 in Tanzania, you pay 60 in Kenya. Hardware items, a container costs 50 million in Kenya, costs 150 million is in URA. In taxation, mobile phones, zero rated in Rwanda, zero rated in Kenya and other countries, 35% import duty. That is why I stated on record that all the telephones, mobile telephones we have in Uganda, over 80% are smuggled. Where are we going?
So the fact that we have held 15 dialogues is that so that we really eliminate all of this. Because at the end of the day, the government is losing money, the private sector is losing money, people are dying because of unregulated regimes. And so it's important that on almost on a continuous basis, we come together. And so the outcome of this meeting was that all the government players and the private sector whom we lead have been able to come to an amicable understanding on the way forward, on issues to do with taxation, on regulation, on enforcement, so that we get a win-win situation. Because
tax evasion and undervaluation of products is a major component in illegal trade transactions. According to Joseph Enyumu, an economist from the Finance Ministry, a tradable economy relies on formality and structure as opposed to current damage, where 85% unemployment is induced by trade cheats. Government-private sector investment in ICT is big hope to help resolve the challenge.
Digitizing a range of other services across government, investing in last mile connectivity on ICT and the national backbone to make sure that we reach players across the country and weed out those who may be taking advantage of remote placement. We are also advancing engagement with our regional partners within the context of the EAC and even the Africa Continental Free Trade Area to make sure that we understand each other and can trace the origin of some of these products, improving traceability of the things that we place on the market. And you are well represented, of course, through the EABC fraternity at the EAC level, and we continue to engage on that front. Illicit trade also, dealing with it requires that we have structured demand. We are able to organize our market to account for who is producing what and who is off-taking it. And so we have a number of initiatives to be able to understand the structure of our demand and production, the aggregation process. Beyond the legal and policy regime that the minister has already spoken to here.
Trade is not a result of absence of laws. It's the absence of, number one, the enforcement mechanisms and the ethical practice of ourselves. The people in enforcement agencies are taking bribes. and promoting illicit trade. And illicit trade is cyclical. More people join because there is a lot of money.
Still, government is now collaborating with local community leaders to raise awareness about specific products to ensure they are not manufactured in non-gazetted areas, particularly homes.
Place in our communities, in our villages, and again, we need to create awareness from the local leadership to be able to make sure that production of certain products cannot take places in homes. They must be done in gazetted production facilities.
Uganda Revenue Authority reported a loss of over 91 billion shillings last year, and the latest industry surveys indicate illicit trade accounts for 29.4% in the tobacco market and 64.7% alcohol, closing in a loss of over 30 billion shillings. A public-private cooperation, effective policies are believed to offset the challenge.
Okay, those have been the stories that we managed to compile for you in the week over here at Smart 24 Television. And remember to get us on all our social media platforms. We're on GOTV, we're also on DSTV. Let's meet again next Sunday at this very time. Bye-bye.